guys, today we are going to be learning a skill that is going to be helpful when we start factoring trinomials. Okay, so here's what we're doing. You are going to be finding two numbers that fit the multiply add table. Okay, so let's write that here, two numbers. So M stands for multiply, A stands for add. Using whatever skills you have, whatever calculator, your brain, whatever it takes, can you find two numbers that multiply to 12, but at the same time add to 8? Okay, now if you can do it in your head, great. If you want a more structured way, we're going to make a list of all the ways you can multiply to 12. So it could be 1 times 12. It could be 6 times 2, or another way is 3 times 4. Okay, those are the three ways you can multiply to 12. Now, out of these, which pair of numbers also adds to 8? Well, not these. Oh, these do. And not these. So 6 plus 2 is 8. So therefore, those are our numbers, 6 and 2. Okay, again, you might have been able to do that in your head. All right, number 2, can you think of two numbers that multiply to 20, but at the same time add to 9? Again, if you need some help, let's make a list of all the ways you can multiply to 20. It could be 1 times 20, 4 times 5, 10 times 2. Is that it? I think that's it. Okay. Now, out of these pairs, which pair also adds to 9? And you would say, oh, this one, because 4 plus 5 is 9. Okay, so the magic numbers here are 4 and 5. All right, and number 3, what are two numbers that multiply to 15 but add to 16? And I'm going to do that one in my head and just say it's 15 and 1. Okay, so a nice trick here. If both numbers are positive, then both answers are going to be positive. Okay, so let's write that down. If both the M and the A are positive, then your numbers will also be positive. Okay, it's just like a little rule there. Now, let's throw in some negatives. Okay, so 4, 5, and 6. So number 4, can you find two numbers that multiply to 16 but add to negative 10? All right, let's make a list. All the ways to multiply to 16. It could be 1 times 16, 4 times 4, 8 times 2. But somehow it has to add to negative 10. So then you got to say, okay, well, there's no way that two positives will add to negative 10, but what if they're both negative? Then a negative times a negative would still be a positive, but now there is one of these that adds to negative 10, and it's this one. Negative 8 plus negative 2 is negative 10. Okay, so that's the answer. Negative 8 and negative 2. So just be on the lookout. Sometimes they might be negative. Okay, number 5. What are two numbers that multiply to 12 but add to negative 7? Okay, so let's make a list. To multiply to 12, it could be 1 times 12. It could be 3 times 4. It could be 6 times 2. But if you want to add to negative 7, but still multiply to a positive, then what if maybe they were both negative? And then I think it looks like this one works because negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. Okay, so that's your answer. Negative 3 and negative 4. All right, last one, number 6. I'm going to do this one in my head, so feel free to pause it. Two numbers that multiply to 7 but add to -8. And it ends up being -1 and -7. That's the only way to multiply to a positive but add to a negative. Okay, so new rule here. If the multiply is positive but the add is negative, then your numbers are both going to be negative. All right, guys, last set. Now these are the hard ones. Two numbers that multiply to -24 but add to -2. All right, so let's make a list. Ways that you can multiply to -24. So it could be 6 and 4, 12 and 2, 8 and 3, 1 and 24. I think that's it. But here's the problem. If you're going to multiply to a negative, then one of these has to be negative. So it could be these, or it could be the second number. Okay, so it's a little tricky here. So which set of these adds to -2? And let's see, I think it was this one, -6 and 4. Isn't -6 and 4 -2? So those are your numbers, -6 and +4. Okay, so you got to be careful. One of them has to be negative, but you got to pick the right one. All right, let's do number 8. Two numbers that multiply to -30 but add to 7. Okay, so 30 could be 1 and 30. It could be 15 and 2. It could be 5 and 6. But remember, if it's negative, then one of these has to be negative. But which one? I feel like we're missing. Oh, also it could be 10 times 3. Okay, so which one of these, if we made one of them negative, would they add to 7? Okay, so if you put the negative here, no. 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 If you put the negative here, these don't add to 7. If you put the negative here, nah. All right, if we put the negative here, -10 plus 3 is -7. So what if we put it here? 10 plus -3 is 7. 10 plus -3 is 7. Okay, so that checks out. So the answers are 10 and -3. All right, this last one I'm going to do in my head. Two numbers that multiply to -10 but add to -3. It's got to be -5 and 2. Because -5 times 2 is -10, but -5 plus 2 is -3. Okay, so our last rule, if the multiply is negative, then your numbers will be one of them positive and one of them negative. Okay, nice job, guys. The next sheet is the practice worksheet. Find those two numbers. Thanks for watching. Now, if this is too much for you guys and you could just do it in your head, you don't have to write all this out. This was only if you needed help. All right, thanks for watching.